Good day, everyone. My report, this is the part 3 of the book that we are using. The title is Acculturation. This part 3 covers 3 chapters, chapters 20, 21, and 22. Chapter 21 talks about the written language, standard language, and global language. So let's define first what is acculturation. Acculturation in socialization, this acculturation, the adoption of the behavior patterns of the surrounding culture. So we could acquire, we could adapt the different behavior patterns from the surroundings or from the cultures that we are surrounded into. And this is also the process of assimilating new ideas into existing cognitive structure. So let's go to the written language. This written language we are using most of the time, or we're encouraged to use in very formal, especially for using the punctuation marks and the use of colloquialism. They are very formal, and also the infrequent use of personal pronouns for especially this also complicated sentences structures in written language. We use this written language for, we use very formal language for this written. And traits that were originally mediating one function may come to be utilized for another function. So as what I've said, the use of the right uses of punctuation marks, because it will lead to different meaning if we are not the right uses of punctuation marks. So the next one is the standard language. The standard, this standard language is a tongue which has moved beyond its region to become national, taken a second language which retains in the regional forms of expression. So this standard language is only from the region to become a national. And this is also the second language that we use for the forms of expressions. When this, and the next one, we have the global language. In this global language, a tongue which has moved beyond its nation to become international. So the standard language was only for the regional to become the national, while the global language moved from the nation to become international language, taken a second language which retains in national forms and covers the whole world, in which is the global expressions. And another thing also in this, the standard English was evolving, another language came into, namely from the Greek, and also it was never the pursuit of scholars, and learned discourse was only one of the manifestations, though one that was essential to the development of industrial technology. So we will use this standard. There are many words, or this language, the standard language we will use into most of the development of industrial technology. So we have this development of new vocabularies, because every now and then we heard different words that we just knew about it, or we just heard about it, but it was already registered words, or the language that we are using. So we have this development of new vocabularies, the simple process in inventing new words. For The first one, number one, not just new words, but new word making principles. So in making new words, new vocabularies, we have the word making principles. And then like combining, this is combining two words, like the examples before the last class that we had, the sana all, it was combining from Tagalog and also English. And the second one, not just new words, but word clusters, and this is lexical, we call lexical sets. So this one, the lexical sets, these are the group of words or forms of words, the topic, function, or any form. For example, for the lexical sets, we use this Thanksgiving, the New Year that we have, Christmas, and many more, or holidays. The third one, not just new words, but new meanings. So we are giving new meanings to the new invented words or new found words. And then the last one, not just new words, but new registers, and then the function varieties. So this one, we have the registered words from different countries that we invented, and then we have the function of varieties. Okay, so this one, according to the author of this chapter, MAEng Holiday, English has been expanding along both trajectories globally as English, globally as English, internationally as Englishes. So this one is expanding along this trajectory, so meaning we're passing to another, like for another countries. We are sharing the new words that we have to another countries, and the another countries they learn also from us. So this the trajectories. And from global, this one, the global is English that we use because English is the global language, and internationally as English. So we have the new words that belongs to this Englishes that we consider into Englishes words. So it is important to think, to distinguish these two aspects, is international and global, even though they're previously overlapped. So sometimes we are confused about just like last time our class have given the new example of words from Thai, and also that they are using they consider also into English, and they don't have any meanings of the words, but they are using the English. So sometimes we are confused of this globally and internationally, but the words that we are using internationally Englishes. So the word in one of the famous words or phrases that we have in the Philippines is and also that is Englishes already. Then next one, let's go to speaking and writing in world Englishes. Let's differentiate first the spoken language and written language. The spoken language, it involves speaking and listening skills. So this involvement of speaking and also listening skills. And it is older than written language. Why is it called older than written language? Because we started to talk. It's very simple words before we learn how to write. The written language, this is the skills that we have. It involves reading and writing skills. So it involves already the reading and the writing skills, and that is the written language. And it is not as older spoken language. Speaking and writing in world Englishes. English is used in the three circles of various purposes as a home language and medium of education, professions, media, diplomacy, trade, commerce, and literary creativity. So as we remember the three circles, we have the inner circle, the first one, the smallest round, and we have the outer circle, the inner circle, that is the countries that are belongs to. The other circles are the English as the first language, and then the second circle is the outer language. Those are the countries that English is their second language, and then the last one is the I mean expanding circle. So let's try to remember that my report or my topic, this includes the Japan and Korea, some part of Asia, Japan, Korea, Thailand. They are already considered into the outer circle, or with the L2. So in this, the English that we use in this circle, so that we use this for education, and then professions, media, diplomacy, trade, commerce, and literary creativity. So next one is the speech acts. So studies in conversation analysis, business and commercial negotiations, and professional encounters also give insights into how acts perform through speech. Okay, so in this, the speech acts, we have this, usually it happens to us, this conversation analysis. When we are talking, we have this, how do we act, or how do we speak to the people in front of us, or how do we communicate to the people based on we have the standards or different varieties of people. So the first one, we have the cross-culture speech act research, then linguistics politeness. This includes grammatical choices. And number two, choices from honorific and non-honorific and grammatical arrays. So this one, the honorific and non-honorific, these are not grammatical right grammars, the right structure of grammars. And the last one is the lexical choices. Okay, so the grammatical choices, this one is in Hindi. We use this second person pronoun. We have a, and then for honorific, and then honorific, non-familiar, tom, intimate, to. Then present perfect ending, we have these words, he, who, I. Then choices from the honorific and non-honorific set as constraints, such as the following arrays are ungrammatical. So this one is not the right structure of the grammars that we are using in Hindi. And sorry. Okay, so the third one, this one is the lexical choices. In Koreans, we have this honorific, plain, and gloss. So kimchi is the plain is pop, the pepper fries, and then the gloss is meal. It means meal. And then singham, this one is iram, name, which means in English is name. Kapsusita, which is mekta, mokta, to eat, and then komushita is kata, or to sleep, or Padja. Okay, so here is the example of honorific forms in Korean. We have the meal, the pa, and then the example of this, grandma did to eat, 할머니 드렸어요. So this one is, and then next one is name for the item, nai for age, and myung counter for people. Itta means to be, and then to sleep and to eat. Okay, those are the honorific forms of Koreans in Korean language. Okay. So politeness, on the other hand, is defined in terms of cognitive psychological notions of self-images of speakers and addresses. So this one, politeness, I know that in different countries we have this politeness that we have in different cultures, different politeness. So the first one, this politeness, especially in the Philippines, we use this opo and po. That is very polite in Philippines. Okay. Discernment, difference, and politeness in speech. In Brown and Levinson's 1987 framework, all potential verbal and nonverbal communicative acts are characterized as face-threatening acts, so or FTAS. This means that sometimes we know, or because we judge the person, we recognize the person if according to his or her looks. Like for example, like happy person, of course, there's a wearing the smile, sad without smile, and also if angry or according based on their facial expressions. So some acts threaten the interlocutor's positive face, others their negative face. Okay, example of here, criticism, we have criticism, disagreement, expression of violent emotions, irreverence, bringing bad news. Okay, like politics and religion. So we know that the person criticized or disagreed the news or this the statement according to how the person looks. Now, next one, we have the apologies, the acceptance of compliments, breakdown of physical control. Example of this is stumbling or falling. And then self-humiliation, confession, and lack of control over emotion, and these are laughter or tears. So those are the way that we speak, or according to how we react, or what facial expressions that we have. Next one, the post-lecture discussion session, and this one is the question raised by the American and the Chinese answering. American, how does the Nutritional Institute decide what topics to study? How do you decide what topic to do research on? The Chinese answered, because now period get changed. It's different from past time. In the past time, we emphasize how to solve practical problems. Nutrition must know how to solve some deficiency diseases and so on. So this is the first part of the Chinese answered from the question. How the Chinese answered the question. Okay, so let's go to rhetorical strategies in writing. Also is motivated by considerations of social cultural appropriateness. That is the rhetorical, the strategies in writing. So this one, we have the American students who have they offer the thesis, generally offer thesis which supports them with details at the end. And the Japanese writers use patterns, these patterns, and then specific to general on their thesis agreement, as a thesis statement. Okay, so let's remember that this American, the inner circle, they speak, the English is their first language, so they speak directly or straightforward compared to the outer circle who speak that the English is their second language. So they have, that's why the Japanese writers use patterns specific to general on their thesis statement. And then the inner circle readers, for the long sentences may be complicated for the readers. So that is why if the long sentences might be the countries are belongs to, or the L2 speakers, they are sometimes they are confused for the long sentences, English sentences. That's why it make it shorter to make them not really complicated for the readers. Inner circle speakers would, particularly in a formal academic context, be much more likely to begin such as response with the straightforward or direct answer. So as what I've said a while ago, that this one, the English native speakers, they respond or they answer with a straightforward or direct answer. The concept of speech acts, rhetorical strategies, conversational organization, politeness, and the strategies that manifest politeness are not the same in pluralistic societies as they are in the kind of idealized monolingual and cultural societies. So it means that we have this different politeness in different countries. So we use this pluralistic also politeness that we used or that we share to other people, communicate to other people. So how do we communicate to them? And then Englishes are used across nations for various purposes, including literary creativity. So that is why literary creativity or in literature, we learn or we use this English from literatures that we didn't identify that those words are already in the literature, because we are using nowadays some of the words from, we have a lot of words in literary creativity and writing. So we use the literature, the words that from the literature, and also for the writing, speaking, any words that we heard as well. So across the nations, not only from our own, but we share to other people for the different different purposes of using the English. So the last one, let's go to the genres and styles in world Englishes. Genre, register, style, text type, a number of similar concepts seem to have been motivated by a common concern to highlight functional variation in the use of language. And this also identified on the basis of generic integrity. So different, according to the genres, different genres and different registers, the styles and the text type. Okay, so the genre. Typifications of rhetorical action. And this is the regularities of staged, goal-oriented social process and consistency of communicative purposes. And these are many of the genres and into a rhetorical action. Then the style, generally defined in terms of text internal factors. How do we fight? We have different styles, especially in relation to two parameters, typically in individual use of language or typically function use of the language. So these are the two parameters that we have to remember, the typical individual use of language or another typically function. Another one used and the other one is the use or function used of the language.
It's 4 o'clock.
The main distinction in my view between genre and style then is the degree of attention paid to text external or text internal features. Genre focuses more on the communicative values, whereas style pays more attention to linguistic forms. So let's remember this phrase or this sentence that genre, this is more focuses on communicative values, while the style is it pays more attention to linguistic form. Although both of them are crucial to our understanding of variation in the language use. So these are the difference between genre and the style. The world Englishes. World Englishes in a similar manner are viewed in terms of text internal characteristics of language used by individuals, though they are also conceptualized in terms of text external perceptions of the world we live in. So, same here, the world Englishes is a similar manner are viewed in terms of external characteristics of language. However, so long as genres are identified in text external factors, changes in lexical grammar are less likely to bring in substantive variations in the perception of generic integrity. Liberal versus conservative genres. In the analysis of variation in genres and styles, especially in the text of world Englishes, an important role is played by the inherent nature of individual genres in question. So the liberal, in the analysis of variation in genres, so genres and styles. Genres seem to form a continuum at one end of which we may find extremely conservative discourse forms. Example of this: legal contracts, legislative statements and statutes, and at the other end, we may see exceptionally liberal forms of discourse, both fictional, such as literary genres, and non-fictional, such as advertising. Okay, so for fictionals, we have this literary genres. For non-fictional, for the advertising. Okay. So that is why we know that when do you use the formal for liberal, formal English is for liberal and then for the conservative genres. Okay, so we have this, the last one, we have this, the examples of arbitration clauses from different countries. The 4 countries that example from their arbitration clauses. So let's see how each country is right to arbitration. Okay, the first one is from Indian Council arbitration. Any dispute of difference whatsoever arising between the parties out of relating to the construction, meaning, scope, operation, or effect of this contract, or the validity of the breach thereof shall be settled by arbitration in accordance with the rules of arbitration of the Indian Council of Arbitration, and the award made in pursuance thereof shall be binding in the parties. So we know how, from this, we know how Indian Council arbitration write their arbit. How do they use the English of their arbitration? Okay, from the London Court of International Arbitration. Any dispute arising out of or in connection with this contract, including any question regarding its existence, validity, or termination, shall be referred to and finally resolved by arbitration under the LCIA rules, which rules are deemed to be incorporated by reference into clauses. So, if you can identify which one of these two clauses, which one is the use of easier language that we easily understand or easier for us to understand. And next one, the last one, we have, okay, from the China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission. Any dispute arising from or in connection with this contract shall be submitted to China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission for arbitration, which shall be conducted in accordance with the Commission's arbitration rules in effect at the time of applying for arbitration. Arbitral award is final and binding upon both parties. So this is how the Chinese wrote this, the arbitration clause. And last one, from Japan Commercial Arbitration Association. All disputes, controversies, or differences which may arise between the parties hereto out of or in relation to or in connection with this agreement shall be finally settled by arbitration in the writing the name of the city in accordance with the commercial arbitration rules of the Japan Commercial Arbitration Association. Based on among the four arbitration clauses, so which one for you is the easiest? You understand most, you've understood most. Okay. So okay. The conclusion of my report, this one is the last. Besides, academic and professional genres are also used for academic promotions and international visibility, and hence two kinds of additional constraints operate on them. First, most writers like to publish international journals, and secondly, they take extra care to make their publications conformative to the expectations of native-speaking Anglophone rhetorical traditions. So, based on you're right from their right usage of English in academic and professional genres is this one way of the promotion and how how do we write the English for academic and professionals for them to share to other people or to let them expect the English that the native speaking used. So for them also to understand the language, the easy language that we are using. To sum up, genre, style, and world Englishes are interesting concepts, and all three of them give freedom to language users to construct their identities, their various choices, which are not free for all kinds of choices. They are restricted choices controlled by forces that operate both text internally as well as text externally. Most importantly, they operate within the confines of a specific genre rather than outside it. So how do we use the English in different genres, the styles and world Englishes? I know that these are very interesting concept or interesting word, interesting topic that we have, because we have our own freedom to use the language as long as the people can understand us. They could identify us through the right choices of the English that we are using for this. And this one is the since we don't have the assignment already, so I will just end my report here. I hope that you get something, and if you have any questions, you may just ask or message me, and I'm willing to answer to your questions. So thank you so much, and God bless everyone.